Hey everyone, Ivy Gaming here, and today we're playing Raid Shadow Legends, and I wanted to showcase some Hydra. My intention was actually a bit higher, like brutal, but gosh darn that Head of Wrath, guys. Oh my goodness. So I'm actually on the test server right now. The test server currently has a different rotation of Hydra than everybody else, but at the end of the day, you need to prepare for all 6 heads, so it's not that big of a deal. Although I did just do hard, which it is a little bit more of a big deal with hard because you're pretty likely to get the same heads to pop up. So I actually wanted to do a team featuring Lonatharil as support, and he was solid. He's really good against the Head of Wrath. And I put a couple people with him specifically with the ally attack in mind, geared some people uniquely with ally attack in mind, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to talk about ways to use Lonatharil, and in this case, Hydra. So I want to talk about his synergies, who you can sub out for some of these people, or just give you some ideas for using Lonatharil and Hydra. It was a pretty easy one-key hard team. I think it would take a lot higher stats in order to go much further. So my Lonatharil, he's in the same gear I used for some other content with testing. He's like in like a regen set, so he could have done a lot better, to be honest. He could have a lot higher HP and be putting on much fatter shields. So I do think this has brutal potential for this team. It is solid. I also got our new champ Wuji in the mix. She's really great as a mischief target, extra insurance for block buffs, and yeah. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the run, and I'm going to talk through some of these points and show the synergy with using Lonatharil, and then I'll let the run play out, and maybe speed it up a little bit at the end, or speed up parts of it. And then what I'll do is go over the builds and talk about some of that. So let's get to it. Alrighty. So let's start the run. So you'll see I have Godseeker Aniri. She is here in a... Is she in a Guardian set? No, she is in Relentless set, I think. I forgot. Alright, so we are actually going to take advantage of Lonatharil for sake of his ally attack in a unique way. So the Head of Decay, we want to provoke him, right? So I have 2 chances to provoke the Head of Decay with ally attack here using A1s, and boom, it happened, right? It happened right away. Lonatharil teaming up with everybody. Husk has provoke on his A1, and I actually have Wuji in a taunting set. So I was able to get Wuji with enough stats to be the mischief target and be in a taunting set and be fast enough. That was hard, but we did it. So let's keep going through here. This is a little bit of a hard run because in this rotation we have all of the worst heads together. This is rotation 6 of Hydra actually, but the concept is the same. Honestly, I'm ignoring the fact that the Head of Torment is here, which definitely affects the runs. Those fears get annoying. Plus we have only Ugo in here to cleanse every so often, so unfortunately it's a bit rough. But besides having Lonatharil in here for his shields to help deal with the Head of Wrath, I also have Ugo is in a Guardian set. She has higher HP than Godseeker, so I figured she was the better target, but I don't have AoE decrease attack in this team, or any decrease attack, so the Head of Wrath hits really, really hard. So having someone in a Guardian set is really helpful to ensure that we're able to survive, right? So let's see here. This is a very hard run dealing with the Head of Torment. But on the current rotation of Hydra, when I'm posting this video, I think we're on rotation 3, it would be much easier to do this exact comp and not have to worry about the Head of Torment when you're when you're on hard. So let's see here. Yeah, look how often the fears just mess you up. It's not fun. So let's go. Oof, that was a hard hit. Head of Wrath. He's no joke. But look at Wuji just provoked the Head of Decay with her AoE because she counterattacked. And so having her in a taunting set is amazing. If you can make her at the target for the Head of Mischief and in a taunting set, it's really, really helpful. Because not only is she going to counterattack when you have someone like Lonatharil in your team, or ally attack in that case, but the counterattack that goes up on her is really, really great. So I don't have someone who's truly good for provoking the Head of Decay in this team. I just have an A1 here, which luckily lands a lot of time with Husk, as it just did now. And we have a taunting set. So luckily you don't need accuracy for taunting sets. You also don't need to worry about poison clouds for taunting sets, because they could still place over a poison cloud. So that's the nice thing about a set. Having multiple people in taunting would actually be great if it was possible. But in this case, I'm trying to utilize reflex gear, relentless gear, kind of a little bit of everything, honestly, to maximize my team. My original intent was to do an all-epic team, but I just didn't quite have the survivability. The Head of Wrath, you can see how risky this gets. It gets risky. The Guardian set helps a lot, but the Head of Wrath just hits so hard, even on just hard. Like, my original plan was friggin' Nightmare. And I was like, this is not happening. Not on this rotation, at least. But honestly, at the end of the day, rotation doesn't matter on Nightmare because the same heads don't pop up. So I think it's going to be really hard to find a good combination of epics to play around with for Nightmare. So when it comes to Nightmare, though, that's end game Hydra, end game content. A serious gear check, guys, so definitely expect to see lots of legendaries in Nightmare Hydra because it's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy for everyone to do. What would be the point, right? So Geo is such a beast. I try to place HP burn on the Head of Torment as soon as he's here. Of course, he had to come back around. I want to kill the Head of Torment as fast as possible, and that definitely helps. But I want to not attack the Head of Torment also as much as possible for those fears, so it's a little bit of everything, right? So much. Ugo is such a beast. I love her. And then here with Wuji, you have to make sure you're always putting up that counterattack and Val on her. It really, really helps for mischief targeting. It also just helps her survivability because, you know, Val is damage mitigation, so it's really, really helpful. But yeah, so using that Lonatharil's ally attack with people in taunting gear or provoke A1s and targeting the Head of Decay is one of the best ways you can utilize him, I think, or any other ally attack champion. And then you just gotta time his shields, when you can tell the Head of Wrath is about to do his thing, about to smash, right? When you get close to that 14 and you're like, oh crap, you know that you really should make sure the shields are up. So in this team, I also can extend the shields with Godseeker, which is about to well, the A2, of course, would make that happen. Boom. All right, let's heal and extend what shields are up. But we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to ally attack the Head of Decay and land a provoke. See, so like with ally attack, it's just another chance for people to provoke that have A1s or a taunting set. So I love that. I love that idea. I'm really glad I got to give it a test, and it does work really well. These people are pretty squishy in some cases, but that's why we have the Guardian set involved. That's why we got the shields of Lonatharil. And honestly, this team would be a little less risky if I built Lonatharil with a lot higher HP, which is pretty easy to do because he actually has a good base HP. But because I was in a regen set, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it as is, because it is what it is. It did hurt the team a little. I could have got a lot more damage, I think. But really, the end of the run just fell apart when someone got eaten by just barely the tiniest thread of RNG. So, and even though this run wasn't like insane damage-wise, it is a very solid 1-key hard, and I think you can get a 1-key brutal out of this too if you just boosted Lonatharil's HP a bit, and maybe not in a regen set, just for sake of putting fatter shields in everyone to help for survivability to deal with those smacks. But I like this team, and yeah, I'm gonna get out of the way. We're gonna speed up this run, and then I will talk about the builds.
I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some honestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Alright, before we get into the builds, I just wanted to show this screen properly for a moment. That way you could see the damages. Obviously, Geo is doing the most work, and Husk with those AoE smashes. If the Head of Torment wasn't around, those smashes would have happened a lot more often, and this damage would have gotten a lot higher, but it is what it is. That's the rotation I was dealt with. And it does show, guys, you don't really need to be able to deal with the Head of Torment per se directly with Shamel or Veil necessarily. You can actually just try to avoid him as much as possible, cleanse when you can, and hope he dies fast. And just let it be what it is and hope you get lucky and he doesn't pop back up. So let's take a look at my builds. Alright, so in the lead we have Geomancer. He is great. Relentless Gear or Reflex Gear is great for Geomancer. I really like Relentless personally because just the chance to go again and even be able to just do his A1 multiple times is really, really helpful, especially for the fact that it's a low chance to land the decreased accuracy, so it just gives us more chances to do so. And also then, of course, you'll come back around to HP burn and weaken faster and the lovely Steal of Buffs when the Head of Wrath puts up that increased attack and you're like, no! So I'm going to show you my Masteries for my Geomancer. We do have it down to War Master here behind me. Simple straight down the back of the offense. And I do have Cycle of Magic here for the chance to proc that cooldown refresh. Super helpful. And then of course be able to extend and have higher chances of landing the debuffs as well. So I do have him fully booked. He's in Perception and Relentless Gear. I do have him focused with the HP percent, but I did actually use Accuracy Chest because of Nightmare Hydra. You don't need this. My stats are a bit high. They're more geared toward Nightmare Hydra, but I have him in the same build as the Nightmare Hydra one. Honestly, what I could have done for more survivability, decrease that accuracy and resistance. It's not really needed in this situation, and I could have boosted this HP. So just keep in mind that this was more of a Nightmare Hydra build, and I had a lot more protection in that team that I use him in. So there's a little bit of mixed stats here, and you don't really need quite as high of accuracy. Just aim for like 300. Actually, don't even. For hard, you only need, let's see. For hard, yeah, you only need like 250. So you don't need that high. Most of my people are a little bit high because they're in my builds for Nightmare or close to it. So that is why he is there. And then we have Godseeker and Neri. She is also in Relentless Gear for chances to go again and more often, and for sake of, yeah, being able to revive. That's really what it's all about. I probably should mention here, Geo, if you don't know what Geo does for Hydra, then you might be living under a rock. Kidding, not kidding. But Geo is just so good for Hydra. It's this passive here when the HP burn is placed. It increases the damage decreases the damage all allies receive and deflects the damage back onto the attacker. So you get those big smash. If you place an HP burn on the Head of Wrath and then he smashes you, you actually get a ton of damage. Like, this is just so much fun. And he's really good. All these people with amazing passives too, right? So she has this awesome passive about revive on death when someone's hit with a fatal hit. Plus she's got a revive, extension of buffs and decrease of debuffs on the enemy. Or sorry, decrease of buffs on the enemy, increase of buffs on us, and I'll heal on her A1. I always forget that she has this little heal here. But it's hard because it doesn't do that much because it's based on their their HP, not her HP. But I do have her the same. I have her in down to War Master Mastery behind me here as well. And then I have her with Spirit Haste in case everyone's dying to help speed her up and go more often. Chances to proc her refreshes and then extend so her heals can do more. But that's pretty much Godseeker. I mean, she's a really great reviver. She's really great for Hydra. Comes in handy for the buffs as well. If they do get stolen or if the Head of Mischief or Head of Wrath, my brain can't work, and puts increased attack up and you want to decrease the duration of that. She's really helpful. And then we have Lonatharil. So I wanted to get him involved because, I mean, hell, he's the fusion champion right now. And some of you guys are actually going for him. I mean, I would have in most cases if I had a ton of shards saved and I could easily do both events, but man, still not happy about the forcing us to do both events situation, so it is what it is. But if you're going for Lonatharil, I just want to show that you have some good use for him. I'm in a regen set from another build for other content I was working on and testing him out for. So he's 80,000 HP almost, 2,500 defense, fast enough speed for this. I try to get everyone over 220 in general, honestly, for sake of Brutal, Hydra, and then over 250 for sake of Nightmare. But I tend to try to get my people for hard in that position as well, because as you can see in this team, I also did not have decreased speed or increased speed, which is huge in Hydra. Two of the most important buffs that I did not have. That was really, really tough. So you just really want some nice HP on him so he can put up big fat shields which are based on his HP. So for more survivability or for higher levels of Hydra, I would definitely suggest that you put him with a lot higher HP, which, like I said, it's not too hard to do. Honestly, if you just had him in full immortal sets, that would even be fine. Get him like 100,000 HP and put up nice big shields. That'd be really helpful for this team. And then here we have an ally attack with all allies, which is awesome for Hydra. It's every single one. So that is really what I loved about him, because I was able to pair him with Husk, who has a provoke on his A1 chance, and I put Wuji in taunting gear. So 2 chances to place provoke on the head of decay if you target him with the ally attack, and that's really, really helpful here. So actually let's go on to and then of course, well, the shields, like I said, timing those for dealing with the head of wrath. That's kind of where that's at. Plus this is interesting here, which is not going to happen too much if you have everything planned right, but if you do have the buffs or shields stolen from the head of mischief and spread around because you don't have a mischief target in your team, then he's going to be really helpful to make you do more damage so you can take down those shields faster if you don't have a buff stripper. And then we have Husk, I was just mentioning, for the provoke on his A1. He's really helpful, even though he's not always the best affinity for the starting rotations. You always have him and Royal Guard. I would have loved to put both of them in this team, but it wouldn't have quite worked. But yeah, he's so good. I have him in Reflex Gear for the chance to reduce the cooldown of his skill. He has 40,000 HP, 2,800 attack, enough speed, 100% crit rate, not great crit damage, and enough accuracy. In a perfect world, I would love more damage on him overall, but my Reflex Gear is lacking, so I kind of just prioritize getting to the minimums that I need, plus making sure he can smash as much as possible. Ideally, I would love to see much over like 250% crit damage, of course, but for sake of this build, I couldn't quite get there, which it still does the job, honestly. Even in Nightmare Hydra, my crit damages are not crazy on my characters, and I still do okay. But yeah, it's all about this big ol' smash, enemy max HP. AoEs do less damage to Hydra, but it's still worth it to do AoE enemy max HP over other single target hits. It's just, you're gonna still get more damage overall. And yeah, his provoke and his A1 is where it's at. Damage-wise, I have him down to War Master Mastery behind me, and kind of the same thing. Focus on improving his stats, chances for cooldown to be refreshed, and then Spirit Haste in case everyone else is dead and you're like scrambling and he's the only one left. Ugo is also our Queen of Hydra. Let me show it off by showing you her Masteries. Same thing, down to War Master, and then again, same idea, just trying to boost our stats for whatever sets we throw on her that have basic stats to improve chances to improve her speed if people start dying, and then Master Hexer to extend like her decreased defense, her leech, etc. I would love to get Sniper on her for sake of the leech, but it's not that important for this comp. Healing is a little bit tough, but I was able to go okay. So I have her in a Guardian set. That's not something I would normally do for Ugo, honestly. I would normally say put Ugo in Reflex Gear or Relentless Gear, but because I was lacking decreased attack on an AoE in this team that I had put together, and I really couldn't swap people out to make this work based on trying to use Wuji and trying to use Lonatharil. So instead, I actually just, I put decreased attack. Put Guardian set if you don't have decreased attack. It's really helpful. Where absorbs 10% of all damage dealt to all allies, heals by 10% every turn. Damage absorbed is not reduced by defense. So she's just a really great champion there. And then with her skills, actually putting her in a guardian set's not a bad thing, and trying to boost her HP really high for that in mind, because her heals are based on her HP. So if you try to get her nice high HP for sake of the guardian set, you're also helping her heals to be bigger for everyone for survivability. She cleanses, she revives if everyone else is dead. Ugo is awesome. I absolutely love her. This is her moneymaker for Hydra, of course, here. Decreased defense, block buffs. It's just so, so good. Hydra, if you have enough block buffs in the team, which you could argue I do with Wuji, but she is a good mischief target anyway. You really don't need a mischief target if you always have block buffs on the head of mischief, because he won't be able to steal if he has block buffs. So that's really helpful, really, really helpful in this. There's so many champions that do it now. And yeah, she's one of the best. And then here, this is what happens when she's the last living ally. She places increased speed and block damage on herself. So she tries to go in and save the day if she's the last one left. Leech on her A1 is really helpful to help everybody heal as well. And yeah, I already showed her Masteries. Did I show her stats? No. So yeah, I have her at 73,000 HP. I really would like this higher, especially she's in a Guardian set. But I didn't have any trouble with her dying, really. I think she was fine. I did have her solid defense on her as well. Decent speed. I would like it to be a little higher, considering her, but it was enough for hard and for brutal. Need faster if you're doing Nightmare, though. And then enough accuracy to land. And now we're going to go to the focus here of Wuji. She's another focus because, well, she's a new champion, so we wanted to have some fun. And she's really, really solid for Hydra. I put Wuji in a taunting set because of her A1. She actually targets all enemies instead when counterattacking with this skill. So if you use Wuji well, you can, and make sure she always has her counterattack buff up on herself, which she pretty much does, honestly, especially if you put lasting gifts, or which I did not do, but or you have Godseeker in here to extend the buffs. She almost always has this up unless something goes wrong or somebody gets eaten. But having this counterattack up and then her counterattacking allows another chance for Provoke to place in the Head of Decay, because this goes on an AoE. And then block buffs is 75% chance to land. And I really like this because she's the neutral affinity for the Head of Wrath for this rotation. Keep in mind, guys, the affinities change on these heads. So depending on what rotation you're doing, you might struggle with certain champions landing stuff because weak affinity. But she's neutral, so I really liked pairing her with Ugo because Ugo very often did not land block buffs on the Head of Wrath, and she does very easily. So, of course, 75% chance, but the right affinity kind of evens out, right? But this is why I have her here as well. This makes her a great target for the Head of Mischief because she always has more buffs up. So in this case, I actually also put a Blood Shield ring up just in case we didn't have a shield on. It's just one more chance for her to have a buff up. I realized at the end of the day I forgot to, I was going to try to, this was about impossible, but I was trying to have enough accuracy, resistance, and speed to also give her a 100% crit rate. So that was not happening, let's be honest. I could probably take off the attack, but I really wanted the Blood Shield ring, so I let it be as is. But Wuji can actually hit really hard, guys, so if you're going to build her in a damage build, that's also very good. But I really love her in this role if you have someone, especially with an ally attack on your team, where she has a chance to hit the Head of Decay more often and use that, take advantage of that taunting set and provoke. So she's pretty squishy. You'll notice her health is pretty low very often, but because I have that Val, she doesn't take as much damage. I do have her with solid resistance here. This is enough for Nightmare and Brutal. And then we have enough accuracy for Brutal and Hard here for sake of landing her debuffs. And then I think Mastery-wise I did it a little bit different just because I wanted more chances for her to use her A1 just in case she, you know, isn't just doing it for sake of, well, okay, I should say, in case her buffs aren't up because things get a little out of whack, which they do. They definitely do. Once people start getting eaten more often, I always try to avoid that if I can, but they can't always plan it. But once people start getting eaten more often, she doesn't always have her buffs up, and you start to worry. But this is actually just helpful to allow it to happen more often. Plus, because I did build her pretty squishy, the damage mitigation and stuff here, like here, this is really, really helpful. So allowing her to receive more heals, take less damage, all of that really helps her to survive overall. But yeah, hope you guys liked this team. I just wanted to show something a little bit different. I also wanted to utilize our friend Lonatharil here. Oh, I forgot. My masteries are a little bit wonky. Based on some other stuff I was doing, which in hindsight, this is actually pretty nice. Increases resist for each debuff on this champion, stacks up to 30. So if he starts getting too many debuffs, like if the poison cloud comes out, you're actually going to be able to resist maybe some future ones, and everything won't keep stacking on him because of this buff. It's one I don't see used very often, but I kind of like it. I think I should use it more often. But yeah, I really like this team. It has a lot of potential. I think in a perfect world, just increase his defense more, or sorry, his HP more, and you'll be a little bit less squishy as I was. And also, the stats of Geo don't need to be this high because this was most of my gear from my Nightmare build. It might have been all of, I don't think it's all my gear because it seems a little bit off, but yeah, the stats are a little high. You don't need that much accuracy for hard Hydra. So, and of course, this team would obviously work well for normal Hydra. You probably could even auto with normal Hydra, not gonna lie. I'm gonna try to be doing more Hydra content when I'm on the test server, especially because it gives me a chance to play with different people that I might not get to use on my main, and test out the new champions for Hydra as well. So, alright guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.